Hey wrestling fans, welcome to another episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic. I am your host, Lance Brack, back from another brief absence. But there was a new episode about a week or so ago, maybe about a week and a half, off Thursday. In case you haven't heard that yet, check that out. But this is a new episode of 360 Wrestling Fanatic for Sunday, October 10th, 2021. I did say Sunday, right? I hope I did. It is Sunday, October 10th, 2021. And first off, on this episode, I just want to apologize for that absence, for being gone for a while once again. And I never got around to doing a recap of Extreme Rules. So it's already been 2 weeks from tonight, I believe. Or was it 1 week from tonight? It might have been, was it last week? I don't even remember. But I'm not going to, it's a little too late now, so I'm not going to do the recap. But I am going to talk about last night's Impact Wrestling Knockouts Knockdown on Impact Plus. So hopefully it won't be too long of a show. And we have a one-night knockouts tournament to determine the number one contender for the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship. And that match will happen at Bound for Glory, October 23rd. We start off the night with our ring announcer, Melissa Santos, and our commentators for the night, Veda Scott and Mickie James. And let's get to the action with our first tournament match of the evening. Lady Frost taking on Rachel Ellery. I've seen a little bit of Lady Frost when she has been on Impact. I'm impressed so far. But it is Rachel Ellerin picking up the win and advancing in the tournament. 11 minutes, 55 seconds. Next up, Chelsea Green defeats Renee Michelle at 8 minutes and 8 seconds to advance. Mercedes Martinez defeats Brandy Lauren 2 minutes 8 seconds. Made quick work of her to advance in the Knockouts tournament. Tasha Steelz defeats Jamie Singal at 11 minutes 5 seconds. That was the first round of the Knockouts tournament. Next up is a Pick Your Poison match. Mickie James gets to pick Deonna Purrazzo's opponent in this one. It is the Impact Wrestling Knockouts champion, Deonna Purrazzo, taking on Masha Slamovich. And Mickie James picked a tough opponent, but it is Deonna Purrazzo with the win. 12 minutes, 12 seconds. And she will defend that Knockouts championship against Mickie James October 23rd at Bound for Glory. Live on pay-per-view. It is now for the tournament semifinals. Mercedes Martinez defeats Rachel Ellerin in a pretty good match here. 12 minutes, 29 seconds. And then we see Tasha Steelz eliminate Chelsea Green from the tournament. And then it is announced that going into the Impact Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 2021, is one of the pioneers of the Knockouts division, a former Knockouts champion, Awesome Kong. Definitely well-deserving. I mean, when the Knockouts division first started, those matches with her and Gail Kim were definitely some of the best matches going on in pro wrestling at the time. At least in my opinion, anyway. Next up, another non-tournament match, Monsters Ball. And this is dedicated to the memory of Daphne. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention this earlier, but at the beginning of the show, it began with everybody in the ring and at ringside and a 10-bell salute for Daphne. This is a Monsters Ball match. Kimberly, Alicia Edwards, Savannah Evans, and Jordan Grace. This is a good match, I thought. Of course, had the weapons, the thumbtacks, but it is Savannah Evans, and nothing against her, but in my opinion, quite an upset here as she picks up the win. 9 minutes, 59 seconds. And next up, in the finals of the night's Knockouts tournament, Mercedes Martinez defeats Tasha Steelz in a really good match here. Mercedes Martinez, everybody knows she's a great wrestler. But Tasha Steelz really impressed me in that match last night. Now, Mercedes Martinez will get an Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship in the future. Now it is time for the main event of the evening. The Impact Wrestling Knockouts Tag Team Championship is on the line. The Influence versus Decay. Of course, the Influence, Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood. Decay, Rosemary and Havoc. Good match here. And it is the champions retaining as Havoc pins Madison Rayne at 10 minutes, 42 seconds. Very good match here. And then, as the show is going off the air, we find out that at Bound for Glory, we will see the debut of the team formerly known as the Iconics, now known as the Inspiration. They will be making their debut at Bound for Glory, October 23rd. You definitely don't want to miss that on pay-per-view, Fight TV. You're going to want to order that. Impact Wrestling, Bound for Glory. So that was Impact Wrestling, their Impact Plus special for this month. Knockouts, Knockdown. Very good show in my opinion. I always say it, probably sound like a broken record to be honest. But these Impact Plus specials are always good. And for the price of Impact Plus each month, with those specials and the content that's already on there, very good deal. So if you have not tried subscribing, getting the free trial, I definitely recommend it if you haven't done so yet. Also, if you don't want to subscribe to Impact Plus for some reason, you can order each show separate on Fight TV for $9.99. Last night's Knockouts Knockdown, you can get the replay. Very good specials. And I just want to say real quick, I have not had a chance to see the GCW show just yet from last night. And hopefully, luckily I should say, I've been able to avoid spoilers. So I am not aware of what happened. not sure who is the GCW champion, John Moxley or Nick Gage, or the Internet Championship, Matt Cardona or Effie. But I want to try to watch that show, check it out soon, and maybe coming up I'll do an episode of the podcast and do a recap of it. Hopefully I'll have more episodes of 360 Wrestling Fanatic up soon. And hopefully this coming Thursday, an episode of Off Thursday. So stay tuned for that, I hope, with my guest hosts and niece and nephew, Madison and Brody. Remember, you can like 360 Wrestling Podcasts on Facebook and Instagram at 360 Wrestling Podcasts. The Twitter at 360 Wrestling Pod. YouTube 360 Wrestling Podcasts. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, anything, the email is 360wrestlingpodcasts at gmail.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube, click the notification bell, all that stuff. And subscribe to this podcast either on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and I can't think of all of them now, but pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you can find 360 Wrestling Podcasts. Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. And once again, hopefully we'll be back soon, so stay tuned. I am your host, Lance Brock, and I am a wrestling fanatic.